You wanna know what my fucking story is? Well, I wasn't always the serial killing scarecrow you see before you today. It wasn't always my dream to hang out in cornfields scaring fucking birds all day long. I had a real name once. It was Eddie. Eddie had a real life and a real body. Leave it to a woman to piss in my cornflakes, though. Seems like it all started with women. I got this problem with most of them in general. By problem, I mean that I have a psychotic fucking hatred for them. I hated some of them so much that as we speak here tonight, there are 12 of them pushing up the daisies. Then there was lucky number 13. Katrina was the quintessential farmer's daughter. You know, 17 years old and as cherry as they come. Well, I saw her hanging out in the cornfields one night as I commenced at some alcoholic debauchery. And the moment I laid eyes on that angelic, innocent face, I knew I had to have her. You know, dead or alive. I didn't know that she'd seen me as well. She was more than willing to oblige my lust. And this is where shit went horribly wrong. Everything was amazing. Hot, humid summer night cornholing in Farmer Daddy's fields. Little did we know that he was watching our fevered sin taking place from the back porch. Daddy was saving this precious piece of ass for himself. He grabbed his 12 gauge and was heading towards our animal sounds when she screamed. She was just enjoying herself. Don't whores usually scream when being furiously nailed in all available orifices? The problem was I didn't see the blood. I only noticed she was going pale at an alarming rate. In my carnal need, though, I had to finish what I'd started. I didn't realize I'd be pulling out her intestines along with my cock, but that's exactly what happened. Right about the time I noticed that her insides were now on the outside, I felt the heat of his bullets fly past my face. I looked at my most treasured and quickly dying fuck doll and took off as fast as my then flesh and bone legs would carry me. Jumped into my car and drove off into the night, drunk on the adrenaline of escaping certain death. Little did I know that my bloody sweetheart died as I drove away. Little did I know that Farmer Daddy had called the old family minister and begged him, pleaded with him, paid him to work his ancient Bible-beating magic on her deceased body. Before the sun rose the next morning, darling bloody sweetheart had a new soul, and she was a very unhappy young lady. She came to me in what I then believed to be dreams. Dreams of her lustful servitude where she would use her body to weave a spell over my human mind. She would continually whisper in my ears,
Eddie, meet me in the cornfield, and I will forever
After
be
so
a
many
slave.
nights of this dreamscape, this nocturnal fornication, I began to go insane in my need for her. One night, the last night of Eddie's life, she appeared at the foot of my bed. I could take no more, so I followed her. My car seemed to drive itself with no help from my hands or my feet. It seemed to stop itself too, right in front of her cornfield. Her voice licked my ears on the passing of each midnight breeze. I followed her as if I were the slave in search of my beautifully dead succubus queen. I came to a small clearing in the midst of this cornfield maze, and I saw a long metal pole protruding from the ground. I looked for her, I called for her, and all I received in return was her soft, taunting laughter. Then, like some shit out of a great horror movie, she appeared. Ethereal, intangible. And with a length of rope dangling from her hand, I stood completely still, drinking in her demon gaze, silently pleading for her to come closer. And she did. She bound my hands together, and her tongue blazed a path of fire from my neck to my ear, where she said,
Are you ready for this, my love?
I could only nod my reply. You see, lust was choking off my ability to breathe. Expecting her to use her mouth, her hands, or her body to bring me pleasures I'd never even dreamt of, I was quite surprised to feel the searing agony that ensued. It felt as though I was burning from the inside out, and that's when I noticed the 3 telltale prongs of a pitchfork penetrating through my rib cage. Talk about a backstabbing cunt. I immediately tasted blood as it poured like the river Styx from my mouth. I was bound, impaled, and praying for death to come quickly when my evil love yanked the pitchfork from my back. My lungs quickly filling with my life's blood, she used her hand to reach inside my seeping hole. With one vicious yank, she tore the column of my spine free, and I collapsed to the ground in my newly quadriplegic state. She kicked me over so that I was laying flat on my stomach and staring at the largest wound on my back. She used a dirty hacksaw to open the entire casing of my flesh. She vertically incised her way around my body, and when she was finished, she slowly pulled the skin from my spasming muscles. You would think it would stop there, but no. This was one seriously sick bitch. She pulled what was left of me into a sitting position and forced me to watch as she stitched my skin back together, stuffing my fleshly cell with straw as she went about her business. To my horror, I couldn't turn away in my paralyzed state. I couldn't even close my eyes since their lids had been pulled off with the rest of my skin. When she was finished making her human scarecrow, she hung my former sack of flesh from the metal pole. It was then that I noticed she had yet to stitch the chest closed. She turned and slowly walked towards me, her eyes toxic green pools of something definitely not living or human. I remember how horribly the salt from her skin burned my completely exposed muscles as she ran them down my chest. She put her lips to mine, and with one vicious inhaling of breath, she swallowed my soul and ripped my barely beating heart straight from my chest cavity. She then placed it directly into the fleshly scarecrow, and with a kiss to my former lips, she exhaled my soul into a dark void of straw and emptiness. With eyes that did not see and with ears that did not hear, I still sensed her, and I knew what was coming even before she uttered those words.
It takes a hell of a creep to fuck a girl to death and then never call her again.
And thus, my undead birth, a new beginning, and the end credits to a human way of life.